What's good, family? So, mash the like button, subscribe, and lick off the bell. So, Genady, Triple G Spot Golovkin has aired out Canelo Alvarez with the following quote: I have the opinion that I won both fights, but some people are comfortable being delusional. Whether it soured me a bit, yes, to see people were able to get away with this fraud. You think, really, is this how it works? Now, obviously, Golovkin's clapping at Alvarez, who, for obvious reasons, believe he won the fight, and he's saying Alvarez is delusional. And also, Golovkin's hinting that there's a big scam going on. That the Alvarez side of things is rigging the sport. Now, what I will say is, the first Golovkin fight, it probably was Golovkin's in all fairness. That's the honest truth. Now, was it rigged? Are people paid? Who knows? Yeah? Wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be the first time the sport's been rigged and whatever. However, what we do know is, guess what? And this really was what won me over about Alvarez, is that let's say it was rigged. Number one, if Alvarez rigged the fight, yeah, and let's do a bit of mental maths here. Okay, yeah, it's a fraud. Alvarez rigged the first fight. Why would he go in there with you again? And not only go in there with you again, but back you up the next time. Oops. Yeah? No one ever. I've never seen Golovkin go backwards before. Until the second Alvarez fight. Now I'd love for someone to ask Golovkin that. Golovkin, why did you suddenly, for the first time in your career, when you're known as Mr. Big Machine, walk forward? Why all of a sudden did you start going backwards? Now, people who know boxing know why that is. People who are known, it's a bit like Mike Tyson. The only time I've seen Mike Tyson go backwards is when he's getting his booty pop for him. Do you understand? Like Holyfield. When Holyfield was making Mike Tyson's booty pop, that's the only time I've seen Mike Tyson go back. Now, as it happens, rather than Golovkin being honest and admitting, you know what, Alvarez made my booty pop in the second fight and backed me up, he came out and said, oh, well, that's the thing. You always hear it with boxers. They always say it. Oh, no one ever lied. Golovkin said after the fight, oh, we wanted to prove we could box. What? Oh, we wanted to prove we could outbox him. What? Wait there, Mr. Big Drama Show, Mr. Big Machine, a big puncher, big walk forward, knock people out of a jab. All of a sudden, for the first time in his career, in his most important fight, wants to prove he can outbox. That don't make no sense, I'm afraid. If anything, if you believed you were robbed in the first fight, yeah, why wouldn't you say, okay, I've been robbed, I'm going to knock this 154 pounder out this time? That'd be the logical, wouldn't it? Okay, I got robbed, this guy's going to get it, and I'm going to not leave it in the hands of the judges. Look at the UFC, Dana White says, if you want to make sure you win, don't leave it in the hands of the judges. Golovkin did the opposite. He went the other way. I lost the fight, I lost the first fight, I was robbed, so I'm going to make it even more controversial and try and win by doing a fiddly way. Doesn't make any sense. So that, for me, what happened in the second fight nullifies anything that went on in the first fight, to be quite frank. And to be honest, this third fight, I believe Golovkin getting knocked out. And I actually believe the reason Golovkin's coming out with these statements is to try and lure Alvarez into the fight. We're all humans, and I think Golovkin coming out all of a sudden, is it a coincidence? Golovkin hasn't been heard from for years. Golovkin hasn't been relevant for years. He hasn't been fighting no one. So is it a coincidence all of a sudden now that Golovkin's name's being linked to Alvarez, he comes out with a quote of, oh, Alvarez is a fraud? Yeah, because think about it. Again, we're all humans. What kind of allegations are likely to make Alvarez angry and think, you know what, I'm going to knock this Triple G out next time? It's going to be, yeah, you're a fraud and you robbed me. So I think this is, I think this is planned from Triple G. I'm not sure he really believes what he's saying here. Because again, no one asked you to go backwards in the second fight. No one asked you to turn into an outboxer, into a ballerina. Look at AJ, same kind of thing. Anthony Johnston. Oh, every time AJ is in a fight and he shits his pants, he says, oh, I wanted to prove I could box. Well, that don't work, I'm afraid. You're meant to be a bulldozer. Bulldozers shouldn't ever want to prove they can box. Bulldozers should want to bulldoze. And when that happens, and I have to give Alvarez credit as well, because look at Alvarez now in his last few fights. Have you ever seen Alvarez go into any of these fights and say, oh, I wanted to prove I could outbox these people? No. He wants to go in there and inflict his will, and I respect that. I really do respect that. See, anyone can try and go in there and have an easy fight and outbox someone. Going in there to inflict your will is a whole other ball game. And guess what? Golovkin's had 2 chances, really, to do that. Especially after he says he was robbed in the first fight. Why didn't you go in there and really stick it on Alvarez and make it clear that your level's above? You can't make it, unless your name's Floyd Mayweather, you can't make it clear that your level's above by fanning around. Especially someone like Golovkin. We had an expectation that you were going to really get back. Really show Alvarez a lesson. You didn't do that. He showed you a lesson. He backed you up. So all these allegations and rumours is just begging to get this fight. Golovkin has had no intention or hasn't made any moves to be serious about his career. I understand he's old now. He knows, I think, that I can't fight any of these young guys because there's a risk I'm going to get beat. I'm too slow, I'm too old. He is 40 odd now. That said, he should really retire. He's made plenty of money. He don't need to. He's just being greedy. Do I think Golovkin really wants a third fight because he thinks he can win? Absolutely not. Maybe he'll prove me wrong though. But again, I believe if Golovkin thought he could win a fight against Alvarez, he'd have shown that in the second fight. He wouldn't have turned into a ballerina boxer. But it's all good. I can't lie to you. Like I said in my last videos, genuinely, I wouldn't mind seeing this trilogy on the basis that Alvarez goes for the stoppage. I believe Alvarez, based on Golovkin's recent performances, I genuinely think that Alvarez can stop him. If Alvarez has a great camp, goes in there with bad intentions to stop Golovkin, I think in the last 3 rounds he gets stopped. Because of his age. No doubt. And before I go, what I will say is, I hope now Golovkin's out here shilling, trying to make sure he gets his fight, talking about fraud and whatnot. All I ask for is that you go in there and you show us the fraud you're talking about. Yeah? Don't gas about fraud before the fight. Get in there and we see your old ass looking slow and just turn up for the payday. Yeah? That's what I don't want to see you do. Go in there and show us the fraud. Because guess what? Like I said, you ain't do that in the second fight. You ain't do that even a bit. You went in there like a ballerina looking ass, trying to dance around the place. Because you're scared to get stuck in and you ain't want to engage for whatever reason. So show us the fraud. I'm sick of these guys. Talk about fraud, talk about this, talk about that, but ain't getting stuck in, ain't marching forward. March forward. And worst thing is, Golovkin meant to be the guy who marched forward. Oops. Yeah?